I'm Nolan Campbell. I'm a U.S. medical director at Johnson & Johnson, and I'm responsible for the launch of Amavi in the indication of generalized myasthenia gravis. So Johnson & Johnson is committed to research into a number of different autoantibody diseases, and generalized myasthenia gravis, as you know, is a chronic autoantibody-driven disease. It manifests with severe fatigue and muscle weakness, and it affects over 100,000 patients here in the U.S. In the recent ANIM Congress, our priority was really in showcasing new data that would address some of the unmet medical needs that we see in the indication of generalized myasthenia gravis. Amavi is an FcRn targeting therapy. And how that works is it prevents the recycling of IgG, resulting in a reduction in total IgG levels. And that reduction in total IgG also takes away the pathogenic antibodies that are responsible for causing generalized myasthenia gravis. So what we have prioritized in the development of Amavi, also known as Nipocalimab, is a drug profile that's focused on sustained efficacy. So many of the other initial FcRn targeting therapies were dosed in cyclical regimens with peaks and troughs of efficacy. We really wanted to build this differently from the start, focusing on a drug that would minimize the fluctuations that patients were experiencing on treatment. In the space of generalized myasthenia gravis, we've been very fortunate that there's been a large number of new treatments that have become available in recent years, and that's wonderful overall for the patients. But there's still a considerable amount of unmet medical need in this indication. And a few examples of that there are patient populations that have been largely excluded from the benefits of the new therapies. And I'll point out in particular, pediatric patients, there really haven't been many options for those patients. And then within the adult population, where they now have so many options, there's been an absence of any head-to-head trials that enable patients and doctors to be fully informed when selecting between all the new agents that are available. So our priorities when we came to ANIM this year were to highlight data that would address those unmet medical needs. So we focused an oral presentation on our Vibrance clinical trial, which is our pediatric study. And the key findings there were a sustained efficacy and favorable safety profile over 72 weeks. And that's the trial that gave Amavi its indication for patients greater than 12 years of age. And Amavi is, because of that trial, the first drug that's indicated in a pediatric population that is targeting the FcRn mechanism of action. So very excited to share that with the community. And then to address the other unmet medical need that I described, we presented the design of a randomized controlled head-to-head trial that is the EPIC clinical trial. And the EPIC clinical trial was designed to accomplish two things. It tests a superiority efficacy hypothesis between Amavi and another FcRn, Vyvgart. And it also includes a switch arm within the study so that we can address questions on the efficacy and safety of Amavi for patients who are switching from Vyvgart. And that's important because we don't have that data from our phase 3 trials. That was a population that was FcRn naive. And so we receive a lot of questions in practice. What does the efficacy and safety look like when a patient is failing and switching from another drug within the same class? So this is our opportunity to really address that question as well. So it's a multi-center randomized trial. It's run as open label. It's in the head-to-head portion of the trial, 40 patients per arm. One of those arms is going to receive a Mavi, and that's dosed every 2 weeks. And one of those arms is going to receive Vyvgart, and that's also dosed as per their label, which is a cycle of 4 administrations once per week. And then the end of cycle is actually dictated by the return of symptoms and clinical evaluation for when the next cycle would be initiated. And so, with that design, we're focusing on three critical endpoints for the trial. One is the reduction in total IgG, and that's important because both of these drugs are working through the same mechanism of action of reducing that total IgG. So this is a way in an open label design that we can have an unbiased assessment of how the drugs are working on the underlying mechanisms of the disease. And then what's really important to the community are the other two endpoints, which are the clinical assessments. And one of those is the MG-ADL. That's a patient-reported assessment on how the disease is affecting the patient's activities of daily living. And the other is the QMG, which is a physician-administered assessment of some of the same symptoms. All of that together, we think, and along with the switch arm that's included, will really help inform future treatment decisions that are made in either the initiation of a new FcRn targeting therapy or in transitioning patients from one of these FcRn therapies to another. This is all work that came out of our engagement for our PERC, basically a group of patients who have committed to helping us better understand the disease that we're working in. And so a number of focus group sessions were held with them, exploring different aspects of their journey. It includes what they experienced in diagnosis, in the initial selection of treatment, in the ongoing, I guess, adjustments to their treatment that may be needed on the basis of disease fluctuations, and kind of the thread that's tying that all together within this presentation that we realized is really the somewhat unique fluctuating nature of generalized myasthenia gravis. Produces a number of hurdles for the patients that have significant impact on kind of how they engage with HCPs and their treatments going forward. So, for instance, because the disease can be incredibly severe in one day or at one time in the day, and at other points in the day, patients can be feeling very normal. A lot of times that leads to not getting them to a specialist soon enough to get an appropriate diagnosis. And while we've made great strides, there's still a lot of room to go based on the conversations we've had with these patients. And then also, as they start to initiate treatment, it becomes very hard sometimes for HCPs and patients to recognize what is a sign of a failing treatment versus just the underlying background fluctuations of the disease. And why it was so important for us to highlight what we learned from the patients on this journey is that it's part of the underlying motivation that we have for how we developed Amavi to really focus on that sustained efficacy profile, to not have a cyclically administered drug, which could contribute to feelings of fluctuations for the patients. And so we just wanted to call out with this poster what we had learned there and some of the associated comorbidities that may come from those fluctuations as well, such as anxiety and depression. I hope beyond just demonstrating our commitment to solid science to improve treatment decision making, this will really give an opportunity for people to compare these drugs in an appropriate context. So a lot of what's going on right now is speculation around cross-trial comparisons. Those can be very hard to run. And we see that there's a lot of confusion. People don't know whether there are differences in these these profiles or not. And so an opportunity to design a rigorous trial in a head-to-head fashion that can formally test such hypotheses, I think will be really well received. And we hope will set the tone for other industry partners to start to commit to such trials as well, to really inform treatment practice overall in such a crowded space. That's just to take a big step back and look at Amavi and Nipocalimab and the whole treatment paradigm for autoantibody diseases as J&J's commitment to future indication work and where some of that comes in. So part of what we hope to learn from things like the EPIC trial are the ways that these different FcRn drugs are working on the actual mechanisms of dropping autoantibodies. And that's important to us because GMG is just the first indication of many that we're going to have that are FcRn targeting MOAs. And so we have commitments to other rare diseases such as CIDP. We've got work ongoing in maternal fetal indications like HDFN and FNEAT. And we also have more prevalent rheumatological diseases that we plan to study with this drug, such as Sjogren's and lupus. And so this is really just the beginning for us, and we hope that we're showing up with the kind of science that will give people confidence in our commitment to the larger autoantibody disease space.